Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Honorable Judge, Madam Ruhana, and ladies and gentlemen. Today we're gathered here to explore a topic that lies in the heart of global diversity and cultural integration, which is the adaptation of expatriate to Malaysia multicultural society. Before we begin, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Mashita Farhana binti Amir Sultan.
My name is Muhammad Mirza Zahir bin Osham.
And my name is Mirza Samila binti Shamsuddin.
And my name is Nur Shifa Atira binti Subri.
My name is Nur Suziana Natasha binti Mama Hasim.
And my name is Nur Iza binti Samwindin.
So, Malaysia, known for its rich tapestry of cultural, tradition, and religious, offer a unique and vibrant environment for expatriates from around the world. However, this adaptation process can present both challenge and rewards. Today, we are delivering into the multi-phase aspects of expatriate adaptation in Malaysia.
So the first proposition is Mashita Farhana, and she will start with the point.
So, the first point that agree in the adaptation of Malaysia is expatriate, which cultural exchange and understanding. The adaptation of expatriate to Malaysia multicultural society provide a unique opportunity for cultural exchange and understanding. By interacting with people from different cultural backgrounds, expatriate can gain insight into various customs, tradition, and also beliefs. Expatriates who actively engage in cultural activities and attend local festivals can foster meaningful relationship with Malaysians from different ethnicity. For example, Hari Raya Open House, Deepavali celebration, and more. This interaction not only enhance their understanding of Malaysia culture, but also provide a platform for sharing their own culture, practice, and experience. For example, expatriates in Malaysia can join cooking class to learn traditional recipes and techniques. Like for instance, many cooking classes were organized like MOMC, which is the Master of Malaysian Cuisine, where Chef Johari Idris do the live cooking of laksa, and many more Malaysian chefs promote this, where it's the way to expatriate to learn Malaysia culture. Through this experience, they gain the culinary knowledge, of course, and this promote cultural exchange and understanding among the participant cultures. This engagement creates a space for cultural exchange and promotes understanding among the participants. So my second point will be the economic and a business advantage. The successful adaptation of expatriate to Malaysia multicultural society bring economic and business advantage to both individuals and country. Expatriates bring diverse skill sets, international experiences, and cross-cultural competencies, positively impact the industry and contribute to Malaysian economic growth. By adapting to local culture, expatriates understand Malaysian consumer better, tailoring product and service to the market and creating increase the business opportunity. Like for example, an expert with a background technology innovation may bring the experts to Malaysian businesses, helping them embrace the digital transformation and enhance their competitiveness in the global market. Which I have had evidence or example to support this statement, which is Honda Motor Company, where it's a Japanese multinational corporation where they manufacture the automobiles, motorcycles, and power equipment, which they started their operation in Malaysia in 2003. And share all their skills, acumen, and more in Malaysia. And by 2022, Honda a milestone of 1 million production unit in Malacca. So my third point will be social cohesion and integration. The adaptation of expatriate Malaysia multicultural society plays a vital role in promoting social cohesion and integration. By participating in a local activities and event, expatriates become more part of the broader Malaysian society, creating opportunity for cross-cultural interactions and friendship. It also promotes understanding and respect for different culture, leading a more harmonious and cohesive society. There is also a study by Teddy Land Co-Fei. It showed that 76.2% of expatriate adjustment has been tenured in Malaysia through language ability, open-minded, and social. For example, an expatriate who joins a local sport team builds a connection with a fellow teammate. Like for instance, the coach and player of many footballs in Malaysia, I expected like JDT's coach, Kaiser Ferrando Jimenez are from Spain.
So any opposition?
Okay. Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Shifa Atira, and I'm the first opposition. I stand before you, Mashi, to express my opposition to the idea of the adaptation of expatriate to Malaysian multi-society. As your point, it is beneficial for the social cohesion and integration. Okay. While it is important for us to acknowledge that the contribution of experience of expatriate will consider the potential challenge and negative consequences from their integration also. Firstly, my point is for the social cohesion is the adaptation of expatriate may affect the loss of cultural authenticity. The rapid influx of expatriate and their integration of Malaysian society may lead to the dilution of traditional culture practice and custom that Malaysia culture own their Malaysia culture. Sorry. And there is also a risk of certain aspect of Malaysian culture heritage being overshadowed and lost because of the expatriate adaptation. For instance, according to the immigration report, based on 558 restaurant, there are 40 expatriate. That statistic, that data show that the emergence of restaurant catering to expatriate communities in Malaysia contribute to the commercialization of the Malaysian cuisines. This establishment often serve modified version of the traditional Malaysian dishes that suits to their palates of the expatriate itself. So the potentially will sacrifice the certain authentic flavors and also maybe the cooking method itself. For example, also our famous chef Malaysia, which is Chef Wan, in his deep interview through the Straits Times, he said that food just like a culture and people, which is food need to be respect. And it's also important to preserve our heritage by not diluting it with the others people.
Okay, sure. So while it is true that integration of expat can lead to cultural fusion and invasion, it does not necessarily result in the loss of cultural authenticities. Instead, cultural fusion can actually enhance the preservation and appreciation of traditional practices. Cultural fusion respect traditional practices by creatively incorporating new ideas while preserving the roots of the culture. Maybe expatriate in Malaysia cooking class can learn and adapt traditional recipe with their own cultural influences, maintaining the authenticity of their dish. For example, Western people like burger, but our culture is nasi lemak, so they didn't like that nasi that means rice that much. So they make a dish which is nasi lemak burger, which the culture is there, but they infuse from rice to burger.
Okay, got it.
So now the first opposition can state your point.
Okay. As I am the opposition, so I take a stance against the proposition that adaptation of expatriate to multiculturalism in Malaysia. My first point is the limited social acceptance. Despite all Malaysia's reputation of multicultural nation, there may be instances of limited social acceptance or prejudice toward expatriate from the local itself. Okay. A study was conducted by Tang, Ahmad, and also Azman in 2019. Is a deep interview were conducted with 120 male and female of expatriate working in various firms in institutions from Malaysia. In that interview, it showed that expatriate experience in Malaysia found that some expatriate reported that they facing limited social acceptance and exclusion from the local community from Malaysia itself. They also highlight that where the local prefer to interact with individuals from their same own ethnic or with the same cultural background, which created for the expatriate difficult from forming the connection and also to adapt with the multicultural society in Malaysia. Okay. My second point is the reason why it's challenging, or I think that expatriate cannot be adapt with the Malaysian culture is the clash of value and belief. Expatriate often bring their own sets of values and belief, which may be different from those of the host country, which is, for example, our topic is Malaysia. Malaysia is like other nation, which is we have a unique and religious practice that we practice also. Expatriate may struggle to reconcile that their own value and belief with those prevalent in Malaysia society. This will lead to conflict and sense of disconnect. This clash can hinder the expatriate ability to adapt with the multicultural environment. For example, based on the article, The Challenge of Expatriate in Malaysia, which is the respondent came from the 5 different countries, which is Qatar, Egypt, Singapore, Indonesia, and also Thailand. There are 200 respondents for the survey, and the hypothesis is supported is positive. Expatriate with the different religious or cultural background find it challenging to adapt with the value and belief. For the example, in that article, the expatriate from Western country might have different perspective on issues such as gender equality, social norm, religious practice, which can create tension or hinder the adaptation of the expatriate itself. So my last point is the sense of belonging. Sense of belonging and identity in new multicultural environment can be quite challenging for the expatriate itself, because expatriate may feel like they feel like they are outsider, struggling to find a place where they truly belong and where the local truly accept them. So the strong bond and the social network within the local community difficult to penetrate and leading the feeling of the isolation and loneliness of the expatriate. This lack of connection can also hinder the adaptation process of the expatriate itself to adapt with the multicultural society in Malaysia. For example, a report by the World Bank 2017 on social inclusion in Malaysia highlight that expatriate may experience difficulty in finding a sense of belonging in this multicultural society in Malaysia. The report notes that expatriate may face challenge in forming a social network or strong social network in integrating into the local community of Malaysia, which lead the feeling of isolation and lack of belonging.
Okay, so any proposition for Shifa?
Okay, so hi, my name is Mohammed Zahari. I want to argue about your first point, which is limited social acceptance. So basically, limited social acceptance highlights the needs for promoting inclusivity in society, right? So, but when certain individual or group face discrimination or exclusion based on their identity, it's become crucial to advocate for policies and innovative that foster acceptance and create a more inclusive environment for all. So by addressing limited social acceptance, we can work towards a society that embrace diversity and ensure equal rights and opportunity for everyone.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Azari, for your point of view. I do respect all of your words, and I'm here to defend that my point is valid because I can find a valid references or source from the newspaper article were printed from the Straits Times. According to the one of the expatriate named Ismail on 2007, he stated that the cross-cultural challenge immigrant working abroad is the common challenge had, and mostly directions is come from the local Malaysia itself. So the local will be negative and biased about the issue at the hand and related to the expatriate, such as an act that match the hostage dimension of uncertainty avoidance. He said that society feel uncomfortable voicing its opinion because of the unstructured and unclear situation of the local Malaysia acceptance of the expatriate itself. So that's the end of my opposition. Thank you.
So now proposition 2, can start your point.
So hi, I'm proposition number 2. So I will start with my first point, which is the first point is developing cross-cultural collaboration skill. So it is a significant factor in the adaptation of expatriate to Malaysia culture society. The development of cross-cultural collaboration skill, and expatriate need to learn how to effectively collaborate with individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds to achieve common goals and promote teamwork. By developing cross-cultural collaboration skills is essential in today's globalized world, and where individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds often work together towards common goals, and cross-cultural collaboration refers to the ability to effectively work, communicate, and with people from different cultural backgrounds, understanding and appreciating their perspective and their diverse knowledge and skill to achieve collective success. For the example, an expatriate project manager may be leading a team consisting of members from different ethnicities in a construction project in Malaysia. But by developing cross-culture collaboration skill, the expatriate can navigate cultural differences and leverage the strength of team members from different backgrounds and foster a collaborative and inclusive work environment. For the second point is language acquisition. So basically, another crucial factor in adapting to Malaysia's multicultural society in acquiring proficiency in the local language, particularly in Bahasa Malaysia. But being able to communicate effectively in Bahasa Malaysia can greatly facilitate expatriates' integration into the community and workplace. For the example, in a company of Suzuki that located at Glenmary Shah Alam, they have workers from other countries, and then the expatriate can attend language courses or hire language tutors to improve their language skill. But by learning from the local language, expatriates also can build stronger relationships, understand local norms and customs, and navigate daily life comfortably. For my last point, which is cultural sensitivity and in customer service, basically it is an important aspect of expatriate adaptation to Malaysia's multicultural society in developing of cultural sensitivity in customer service roles. But the expatriate working in customer facing position need to understand and respect from the culture norms, value and preference of Asian customers to provide exceptional service and build strong customer relationship. For the example, an expatriate working in Royal Children Hotel uh, that located in Kuala Lumpur may interact with guests from diverse cultural backgrounds and each with their own expectation and communication style by demonstrating cultural sensitivity in customer service. The expatriate can create a positive and personalized experience from each customer and enhancing customer satisfaction and loyalty.
So, any opposition for Mirza's point?
Yes, I have a opposition for Mirza point. So I want to opposite the second point is language acquisitions. So for the opposition is learning in Bahasa can be challenging for newcomers who are from abroad. They must take their time to learning Bahasa. So additionally, English is now a language used by almost 2 billion people worldwide. So it has numerous unique variants that have been influenced by the various cultures that have adapted over time. Today, English is accepted as a second language and a foreign language in several nations, including China, Iran, Brazil, Malaysia, and Philippines. However, there are also nations that have taken steps to make English their official language after realizing the importance of English for socio-economic development and worldwide status. So, for my opinion, English was eventually modified to fit its new culture through the process of navigation or assimilations with the regional tongues. Language use and linguistic structure have changed as a result of the localizations of English, such as the Manglish. So usually in Malaysia, we use Manglish Malaysia English, what we call is rojak bahasa for the expatriates. Manglish is which is the most often used dialect among Malaysian in less formal to informal settings, is primarily Malaysian main brand of localized English. When speaking or conversing, consider the language to be brief, basic, and easy peasy language. Everyone use English to communicate with one another in our daily life. Communication is more convenience. That's all, Mirza.
Okay, so I want to defend my point. So basically, if the expatriate comes to Malaysia and they work at Malaysia, they have to learn Bahasa Malaysia because usually in Malaysia, uh, English is the second language for us, and uh, the expatriate must to learn from the Bahasa Malaysia because because basically in a company they use English also, but Bahasa Malaysia is the number one for us because we don't use English as a what English as a language to communicate. And however, we all do not speak the same language, and difference between the language because sometimes in a company they also use English because it's easy to them to communicate to each other, right? So they must to learn bahasa Melayu if they want to work in Malaysia. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, Mirza. I want to back up and that's my point. So I think I know what's your words is mother tongue. I know it's hard for me. It's hard expatriate to learn the bahasa Malaysia because it's take time to learn and um to study the bahasa Malaysia. For example, we are Malaysians. We always speak and put la at the back our words. For example, jom pergi, kau pergilah. So like it's hard for expatriate to understand what la at the back in the words. So thank you. I appreciate your words, your point. Thank you, Mirza.
So now opposition 2 can start your point.
Okay, hi. My first point is adapting to a new business culture and environment. So the level of formality and seniority required at work will have an effect on how well employees and their manager interact with one another and with one another in order to survive working and living abroad. Expatriates must face problems and make the required adaptation because living abroad offer a distinct way of life and a unique set of experience. Okay, for example, for the point one is poor career growth, loss of career direction, and underestimation of current jobs in their home country are some of the frequently cited career change experience and are sometimes the main reason for being denied employment opportunities. So for the next point, is cross-cultural challenge. Understanding and resolving cross-cultural issue is essential for the success of expatriate assignment and can result in more cultural competence, better commercial outcomes, and a more inclusive and varied workplace culture. Both the expatriates and their employer can gain from increased cultural intelligence by addressing cross-cultural issues. This can result in better communication, for example, better relationship with client and partner who come from different cultures, and a more successful and effective global business strategy. And for my last point is body language and culture. The biggest difficulties and impediments preventing the free flow of amicable engagement and dialogue between expatriates and their Malaysian counterparts are body language and cultural difference. According to one manager, this is an example. In our culture, loud voice and excessive actions are regarded unpleasant and can be interpreted as hostile behavior. Other like example, manager, however, claim that they read us as their one based on their psychological. So, perception not based on reality and reason. They even expect us to know how to address them based on their social status. These major problems prevent peaceful workplace communication, and they are frequently caused by Malaysian co-workers' cultural realization and perception of comprehension. So that's all from me. Thank you.
So, any proposition for our Suzy opposition?
Okay, so I would like to propose to Susie's point, which is the third point, which is the body language and also culture. So interesting that you say that the expatriate are having a difficulty between in the body language and also culture. So by right, the expatriate is actually kind of observing the local people and also based on their body language, is actually can provide valuable cues and also insights. So by paying attention to how the Malaysian and also the expatriate interact by using the gestures and also the maintain the personal space. So it's a learning from the observation that can help the expatriates to gradually adapt their own body language. So it's not like focus on how they interact with high voice or loud voice and so on. So it's important for the expatriate to approach culture adaptation with an open mind and also a willingness to learn. So being adaptable is actually and also respectful to the local customs can go a long way in building the positive relationship and also overcoming the culture barriers. So we all know that Malaysia is actually a multicultural country with a diverse population influenced by Malay, Chinese, and also Indian cultures. So among others. So for example, Malaysians typically greet each other with handshakes, and then to close friend and also family may hug or smile or use some other form of physical touch. So maintain eye contact during the greeting and also use the friendly smile. So if somebody offers a hand for a shake, and then they reciprocate with like firm handshake, so it's just like a very common culture that everyone can just follow, and the expatriates actually can easily adapt in this body language and also culture. So it's not a big problem for them to adapting themselves in that culture. So that's my opinion to Susie's point.
Okay, thank you, Bella, for your opinion. And I think I agree. What's your point? And I don't have to what my point to main our point to back up my point. So I think I agree with your point. Thank you, Bella.
So now proposition 3, Salsabila can start your point.
Okay, so I will just proceed with my 3 points. Okay, which is the first one is culture training. So this program is actually aimed to provide the expatriate with the necessary knowledge and also understanding of the local customs, tradition, and also business ethics and the culture norms. So by offering the comprehensive training, organization equip expatriates with the tools of to navigate the intercultural interaction effectively and also bring a strong relationship with the colleagues. So, for example, like having a training on Malaysian festivals such as Ramadan, Chinese New Year, and also Deepavali can be invaluable. So, the expatriate can learn about the significance of this festival and also the customs that associated with them. So, and also in appropriate ways to engage with the other colleagues during this occasion. So this understanding allows the expatriate to demonstrate the respect and also appreciation for the culture diversity within the organization. So, and it's also enhancing their ability to build rapport and a meaningful connection with their Malaysian counterparts. Okay, so next for my second point, which is engage in the community service or the community activities. So the expatriate, which they will join a local clubs or sport teams that align with their interests, allow expatriates to interact with Malaysians who share a similar passion. For example, like if an expatriate enjoys hiking, so join hiking with the groups open doors to exploring the Malaysian stunning nature trails with simultaneously building the friendships with the other Malaysian people. So through this experience and also activity, expatriate is actually can establish a common ground, deepen their understanding of Malaysian culture, and also form lasting connection with the locals. So by giving back to the community, expatriates actually can demonstrate their commitment to the Malaysian societal well-being and also create the connection based on the shared values. Okay, so move to the last point, which is my third point, inclusive teamwork. So the expatriate is actually can foster inclusivity by actively seeking out and building diverse perspective within their teams. So this involves encouraging the team members from different cultural backgrounds to contribute their ideas, experience, and also expertise their discussion and also decision making processes. So by actively listening and also acknowledging the insights of team members, expatriate can demonstrate the respect for diverse viewpoints and also create an environment where everyone can feel valued and also included. So the expatriate will also adapt their communication and also collaboration strategies to ensure that equal participation and also for the effective teamwork. So that's all for my 3 points.
So, any opposition for Bella's point?
Yes, okay, Bella. Okay, I want to argue your second point, which is engage in community activities because of lack of time. Not all community groups have sufficient time, capacity, and resources to attend and respond to all engagement requests. It's important to think about the timing of your engagement and compensation for those who need it. And caregivers, many of whom are women, can find it difficult to participate in face-to-face engagement events. People who are employed can also find it difficult to attend during work hours. And people who live further away from the physical location or face-to-face consultation may find it difficult to attend. And it's also important to consider if your community members live in an area of travel through it regularly. And there are groups in the community that may experience financial strain as a result of participating in a community engagement initiative. So that's all for my argument for your point, Bella.
Okay, so I would like to return my argument. Okay, so to get back what I was saying, I am trying stand with my point, which is people who are employed not always face the challenges in attending the community engagement events during their regular work hours. So their professional responsibility and also commitments not always making difficulty to allocate their time for community service. So actually they have the alternative timing options such as for evening session or weekend meetings, employ individuals can actively participate in the community initiative without conflicting with their work schedules. So by right, that as an expatriate, the time management is very important. Same goes to the other local employees as well. So they can just assess to their schedule and identify time slots that they can allocate to the community activities. So not every time they need to join the community activities. So they will just consider their work hours, personal commitments, and also other responsibilities. So they will be realistic about the amount of time they can commit, and also ensure that they have the balance between their personal and also community engagement. So like for example, the expatriate working as a full-time job in Malaysia, so they can assess their work hours and also the personal commitments to determine the availability and also the available time to join the community activity. So they may identify some which is evenings or weekends as suitable time slot for their contribution and also engagement. So that's all from my side.
Now, opposition 3. Iza, can start your point?
Okay, for the first point is nation working habit. It's difficulty in complying with their working pace. Most of the informants interviewed came from highly industrialized nation whereby the people are used to living in the fast lane and having more established and efficient service for the public. Since their previous working trend differs from the working style that they are currently experiencing in Malaysia, it poses as a challenge for most of these expatriates here. From what the researcher gathered, among the challenges include slow-paced working speed and inefficient service offer. And for the second point is custom and religion. The difficulty in understanding the dress code of the locals, since Malaysia is a multi-ethnic country enriched with multicultural custom. Expatriates find living in Malaysia as an interesting experience and full of diversity. However, among many Malaysian customs which were practiced, there are those that brought challenge to these expatriates. One of which that posed as challenge was the idea of understanding the dress code of Malaysia, especially for female expatriates at the workplace. As mentioned by some of the informants, if they do not dress themselves in accordance to the social norms, negative remarks from the local were bound to the head, although it may not be directly voiced. And the last point is attitude of Malaysians. The difficulty in understanding the indirect and non-confrontational behavior of Malaysians. Almost all of the expatriate interview mentioned that Malaysians were known to be indirect and non-confrontational in terms of expressing their personal opinions towards others. And then Malaysians do not really want to say anything that might hurt the people. Wherever they said they do not want to look like criticizing. If they see someone in their senior rank say something, then the rest of the junior people will not say anything. And that's all for my point.
So, any proposition?
Yes, I want to argue for Iza regarding the third point, which is attitudes of Malaysia. While it may be true that understanding Malaysia communication style can be very challenging for expatriates given the indirect and non-confrontational behavior. However, it's crucial for expatriates for these cultural differences arise from desire for harmony and respect. By practicing cultural empathy, active listening, and building the trust, expatriates can navigate the tools of Malaysia communication more effectively and foster deeper understanding the collaboration. We have evidence showing that Malay language is an easier language to learn because it has no conjunctions, no plural, no verb status, and more. These statements were written by MSM Unified. And also, according to Yahoo News Singapore, Malaysia get voted for friendliest cities that to be expatriate because not only an organization, they were nice in outside nations. Moreover, Malaysia is a country that respect all the kind of religions and races, and therefore, I believe that their respect for the foreigners and expatriate by respecting them and their culture.
Okay, Mashi. Thank you, Mashita. And I want to defend my point. So generally, based on the findings of the study, the locals' working habits seem to collide with the expatriates' working habits. Since most of the expatriates will come from well-developed nations, their working pace is faster and planning becomes more efficient. And thus, working in Malaysia presents a slower pace and less efficient as perceived by these informants. According to ASMA 1996, there is an obvious difference in perception of time by Malaysian and the expatriates. So that's all from me.
Okay, so now Marshita will close the debate by the conclusion of our topic today.
So we come to the conclusion where the debate of the adaptation of expatriate in Malaysia multicultural society highlights the dynamic and complex nature of this process. Where there will be challenges and areas of concern, is essential to recognize the immense potential for cultural exchange, understanding, and mutual growth that comes with the integration of expatriate into Malaysian society. Through active engagement, cultural authenticity foster social cohesion and promote economic development. It is a truth that embrace of diversity and appreciation of each other's unique background that we create more harmonious and inclusive society. Let us continue the value of contribution of expatriate and work together and build the bridges of understanding, respect, and unity in Malaysia multicultural tapestry. Thank you so much, Madam Rohana, to listen to our debate. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
madam.
so much, madam.
Thank you so much, madam.